Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to Divers Ready. This is the next video in our series of quick tips, and this week we are focusing on bolt snaps. So we're going to give you everything you need to know about bolt snaps in a 5-minute video. Our quick tip series is aimed to be packed full of as much advice as possible, and it's lacking all the flashy B-roll sequences and jokes of our featured content. If you haven't done so already, ladies and gentlemen, make your next dive on our subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. It means the world to us. Right, bolt snaps. Here we go. First and foremost, material. Marine grade stainless steel only. Okay? No nickel plated aluminium. These brass, horrible ones that you get with cheaper accessories, garbage. Straight in the bin. Forget about them. These little suicide clips that have no spring opener are the absolute best way to lose a precious accessory. Absolute garbage. Forget about them, don't buy them. When we talk about bolt snaps, we're really talking about two different styles. You have the double ender, looks like that, has two sliders, one on each end, working in opposite directions, both of which default in the closed position. And you have a single ender bolt snap, which looks something like this, where you attach the loop end to the accessory or whatever it is you're trying to attach, and then this becomes the attachment detachment point. Right. Very simply, bolt snaps normally come in one of three sizes, small, medium, or large, and the measurement that you'll see is actually the measure of the length of the loop. So the small, medium, and large settings each have their own use. I'm not a massive fan of the small settings because I have great big hands, and if I'm doing cold weather diving and I've got really thick gloves on, I find these to be a nuisance. However, a lot of divers like these to attach to a long hose setup. So when you clip off your long hose onto a D-ring, this is a smaller, lighter D-ring, and that way you're not getting jaw fatigue. I just chew gum. Just get stronger jaws, that's it, okay? But I don't tend to use these too often. You can if you want to. Next up, you have these jumbo D-rings, which are nice and large, as you can see there, working exactly the same way. I didn't use these until just recently when somebody gave me a stage bottle with these already rigged onto it, and I found it to be very handy, and especially with thick gloves on in cold water, these are nice and easy to manipulate. But the most common type that I use on nearly all of my accessories is the medium size. So, stainless steel spring. Let's talk about maintenance of your bolt snap itself. You have two moving parts. You have a stainless steel rod that goes through the retaining loop there, and you have the slider which has the spring function inside. That spring in the bottom of that is stainless steel, but obviously if it doesn't get fresh water rinsed, it will eventually corrode. So what I like to do is hold the D-ring into fresh water, give it a good few pumps, and make sure you're pumping any salt water that's in there out and putting fresh water in there. Also, another thing you can do to keep that action nice and smooth is just put a little bit of silicone grease in the rail there and pump it down a few times, and that's going to put a nice little coating of silicone and make sure that these work nice and smooth for a long time. What do I put bolt snaps on? Well, all kinds of different accessories. You can see here I've got my backup torch, has a small size bolt snap on it, and that attaches to one of the D-rings on my harness and just hangs real nicely there with an elastic retainer, just the right length. I also put a bolt snap on my SPG, my pressure gauge, which is just naked, no housing, no casing or anything like that. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. I also attach them to things like SMBs, just to make sure that they're nice and secure if I need a backup like that, or I want to clip it off into the inside of my tech shorts. Double enders I tend to use more with spools. The only challenge you have with the double ender is you have two failure points, essentially two ways that these can open accidentally and detach from your personage. So I generally just use those for spool use, line work and so on, not really for securing accessories as much. So next up, let me show you how you attach a medium-sized bolt snap to an accessory, or in this case, I'm actually going to use an SPG because I had one on here that was fraying slightly and needed replacing anyway, which is what prompted me to make this video for you guys. So we're going to need some line, which I've already cut an appropriate length here. A couple of feet of line. We're going to need a lighter, and we're going to need a scissor to trim our ends. This is how you do it. You find the middle of the line, make a simple loop like that, pass it through the end of the bolt snap, and just overhand like that. So you've got a nice simple loop attachment like that. Now you know that the bolt snap's not going anywhere. You can begin to take your lines, feed them one on either side, up through the middle, up through the middle, back underneath, up through the middle, this side too, underneath, back through the middle. I'm trying to keep this as neat and tidy as possible. Pulling that tight right there, you can see I've got 4 loops going around here now. So that just needs to be positioned as close to the metal coupling as possible, but not on it, so it can grip on the rubber when I pull it tight. There we go. Okay, so then I'm going to take each line, bring them around the outside, wrap this one this way, take this one, wrap it around the back, and now I've got the 2 lines coming down the center, over the top, and then we're just going to tie a reef knot on top and pull it as tight as I possibly can. All right, so that's the basis of it, and you can see how much the line is really gripping because I've tied that nice and tight. That line is gripping on there really nicely. That's not going to slide anywhere. So then all I want to do is trim my ends, and I want to leave about, let's say, 1/3 of an inch. So just a little bit there. Enough that I can burn the ends and then smush them down. So be careful, obviously, not to burn through your hose. All right, and then I'm just going to use the end of the lighter and smush that. And that's so that the end can't pull through the knot. There we go, and there you have it. A nicely secured bolt snap on the hose of a submersible pressure gauge. Right, so here you can see on the end of a flashlight, exactly the same knot. I've just put it through the loophole in the end of the torch. So that has been on there for at least 7 years. Haven't changed it at all, nice and secure. So why then do we do that? Why do we go through the process of tying a knot on? Why can't we instead just use a cable tie? Well, the trouble with plastic cable ties is they wear, they're susceptible to UV light, they get brittle, and then they snap, and then you end up losing the camera or the torch or whatever accessory it is that you had tied on there. Much better to learn to tie a proper knot and make sure that your gear is nicely secured. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I hope you enjoyed this quick tips video on bolt snaps. If there is anything else that you would like us to make a quick tips video on, you should let us know in the comment section of this video below. We try and make as many fan requested videos as possible. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, my name's James. This was your Divers Ready video for this week. Dive safe, dive often.